All right, so before we start, we do need to issue a slight correction regarding last episode.
Okay.
I had a listener brought to my attention the fact that while we were discussing the Super Mario Brothers movie, we were talking about how we have like all these like actors that keep crossing over into like Seagal films, and we said, I think I said if we just get Bob Hoskins and John Leguizamo, then boom, we got the big ones. We hit everything. We didn't actually watch it. Maybe we'll have to go back and add it in later. We didn't actually watch Executive Decision. It said he was just like a supporting role. Like it didn't seem like a major Seagal thing. It's more of like a Kurt Russell movie that happens to have Seagal in it. But I guess John Leguizamo is in there and specifically said working with Seagal was like a major pain in the ass. Like this guy sucks. Like I literally based the character I'm playing in the menu of this like failed like actor on my experience working with Seagal. So
Wow.
we got Leguizamo. We got all the big ones. All the Super Mario Brothers movie. It's here. We're gonna have a bonus episode of the Super Mario Brothers movie at some point just because of I'm gonna have a whole conspiracy wall of the red yarn and everything that connects like Super Mario Brothers movie to all these Seagal films. But yeah, I just want to make sure because we're gonna have these people listening. We're gonna like start getting a ton of emails of people just being like, actually you said you don't have John Leguizamo, but he was in Executive Decision with Steven Seagal and Kurt Russell. So if we have journalistic integrity to correct our mistakes, edit Leguizamo is present, we're good. Kick off this episode, Hans.
But you can't check your six. It's kind of like, taking a screwdriver to a gunfight. What's happening? Just like on top.
Okay. Welcome back to Steven C. et al. I'm Hans.
I'm Aaron.
I'm Zach. Sorry, I just drank some boba.
I think all these intros are getting more and more tired.
A little bit.
They should be, yeah.
You know what? I shouldn't actually be that down. I had a decent time watching this one. I don't know why. I think it was because it was so outlandishly goofy. But I don't know. Compared to the absolute tragedy that was Ticker, this wasn't that
Ticker,
bad.
yeah. No, this was significantly better than Ticker. That's a pretty low bar. But at least this was a movie.
Yeah.
Unlike Ticker.
Yeah, that's the exact problem I have. That my metric for how I just view and think about movies is completely skewed. The Overton window has been completely shifted. Like the fact that you go from Ticker to this, like, completely messes up. Like I can't I cannot watch this movie in a vacuum. Compared to Ticker, this is a work of art.
You ever think we might be doing an inadvertent Supersize Me?
I hadn't, but
Like we're just eating nothing but McDonald's for a year here.
I don't even think we haven't said the name of the movie yet. This is Half Past Dead.
I also wouldn't be surprised if watching 50 straight Steven Seagal films makes you gain like 20 pounds and get depression too. I'm starting to feel that, so I think we got that right.
Like this is more about the effect that these movies have on our minds than anything about the actual movies themselves.
I'm going to go to like a therapist. They're going to open their little notebook and they're going to be like, so what's going on? And I'm going to be like, I'm 13 movies into like a Seagal binge, and they're just going to close the notebook and be like, okay.
All right.
I think this experiment is like Supersize Me. This is a review of Steven Seagal movies in the way that Supersize Me is a review of the McDonald's menu. Like it.
Fair.
That is.
Yeah.
It is very much front and center, but it's not actually about the food. It's not about the art. It's about the way that it affected me. And that's negative. Negatively.
I would 100% be okay if like the tagline of this podcast was like Supersize Me, but for Steven Seagal movies. Especially because in that one, he's literally going from like a vegan, like kale salad diet to straight McDonald's supersized. So this is the equivalent of just coming from like Criterion, like foreign releases and like Canopy streaming movies to Steven Seagal. That is like the McDonald's of movies.
Yeah, I mean, in my previous life, if it didn't win at least 3 Oscars, I didn't even turn it on. That's not true at all. I watched really whatever, but
also like McDonald's surprisingly popular in Russia.
Yes.
I don't know if that's true. Okay, go ahead. I guess you should actually say the name of the movie and intro it and talk about it. But
what are we talking about today?
So this one was Half Past Dead.
Yeah. All right. Good recap.
What happens? Tell me what happens.
We follow Sacha Petrosevich. I'm sorry.
His being Russian does not come up at all in the entire movie.
No, it really doesn't. You hear for like 2 seconds in the very beginning. Then
2 characters mention it and make no decisions based on that info.
Yeah, then his accent changes and everything a million different times. It doesn't matter. So
well,
in this one, we follow.
But it is very funny specifically.
Zach, you
for
just
this
got done talking earlier today about how
no, but I have something important to say.
You interrupt us.
I'm not interrupting you. I'm not interrupting you. I was sneaking in there after you finished, but you just steamrolled through me. You interrupted me.
I don't think so.
But what I was going to say is it's important for this podcast because we have. When we're watching these movies, we get 2/3 of the way through, and then we're like, "Oh, he thinks he's Native American. He thinks he's Italian." Now, like sometimes it takes a while to tease out. Mm-hmm. It is very funny that this one, like within the first 5 minutes, he's like, "I'm Russian," and then it doesn't come up again. So we're like, "Okay, we know what he thinks he is, but it doesn't matter." Yeah. That's all I was gonna say. If you'd let me,
you could have said that after.
No. I'm sorry. I wanted to talk about it while we were talking about the fact that he's Russian.
We're talking about
30 minutes later.
The whole movie, this entire time. You can bring it up literally at any moment.
Do we think this is the beginning of his enchantment with Russia?
That wouldn't surprise me.
It could be. Considering he had to stick it in there just somehow.
Yeah, he's fought Russians, I think. Hasn't he?
Actually, weirdly enough, I think he's the only action star from the 80s and 90s who didn't fight Russians.
He spent the entire 80s not fighting any Russians?
I don't remember any.
I don't remember him fighting any Russians, but I just feel like that had to have happened. It was the 80s and he made action movies.
You would think.
Then so. Again, it's Steven Seagal. He does the impossible.
Yeah. That's what I thought, Toby. I'm sorry, Hans. Did Aaron interrupt you wanting to talk about this relevant topic while we're on the topic?
No, because I wasn't talking.
Okay, let's actually get to the plot synopsis. However scant it is.
We follow this guy, Sasha. He boosts cars, working with a bunch of other people that also steal cars, and they're about to ship a whole bunch of cars out. And the FBI raids their warehouse, and I wasn't actually clear. I don't know if he takes a bullet or something. He gets knocked unconscious. He dies for like 22 minutes, I think it was.
It plays a sound effect as if he got shot multiple times, but no squibs go off.
Yeah.
You don't actually see him get shot. It just plays the sound effect.
It was
later
weird.
on, he definitely makes a comment to FBI lady about like, "Oh, you can't do a raid without shooting me too." So I think we're supposed to draw the conclusion that he got caught in her fire.
Yeah.
But
so he was dead for 22 minutes, and then he got brought back to life. Hence, somehow the title "Half Past Dead." I don't know either. It doesn't make sense.
One of the characters does say, "You went half past dead and came back."
Yeah, and it doesn't make sense then either.
Times here.
So he ends up going to prison with his partner on New Alcatraz because, of course, there's some news crews talking to the warden about New Alcatraz, and, you know, it used to be a really terrible place, so why open it up again? I don't know. We cut to the life in prison, and the warden starts talking about how things are going to be. The warden's actually pretty cool. I really liked him in this one.
He was fine.
But in the process of talking about life in prison with the new prisoners, he brings in a guy who's about to be executed in this new state-of-the-art execution chamber, which really doesn't turn out to be state-of-the-art at all.
It's just an electric chair.
Fancy.
But it lets you choose 5 different ways of getting executed.
Yeah, it lets you choose how to be excuted. Either
most of which were
chair,
illegal at the time, but whatever.
Yeah, like it lets you choose any of the 5 current ways of being executed, but they end up going with electric chair because it's so advanced.
Except
one of them
was gas chamber, and one of them was firing squad, which I'm pretty sure you cannot do. I'm pretty sure those were illegal even in
but that's how
2002.
Yeah,
it's so advanced. It actually goes back in time to when that was legal.
So the warden introduces this guy who is about to be the first person that's to be executed in the state-of-the-art chamber. He's basically like knockoff DB Cooper. Stole a bunch of gold from the government, hid it somewhere, didn't tell them where it was, and they announced this program, and he volunteered to be executed. So he ends up going to the execution room, and he has an hour to just chill there for some reason. Not sure why. They didn't really explain that one. The warden brings him a suit because that was like his last request.
Can I stop you right here?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is the point in the movie in which, like, the main plot is introduced.
Pretty much.
We are now 1/3 of the way through the film.
Yeah, and that's actually a really good point. And they finally introduced like what's going to
What
happen
is this
for the
movie
rest
actually
of the movie.
about? Like, what is the main goal of all the characters? Is introduced a full third of the way through the movie. Yes, Zachary, you have your hand up.
I would also just like to point out, he said it was knockoff DB Cooper, and then nothing of what he said applied to what DB Cooper did in the DB Cooper case. DB Cooper was not in jail refusing to tell people about his buried gold. None of what you said lines up.
Which spend...
Wasn't it
What?
the same kind of thing though? He like hoarded his treasure away and then got caught, but didn't tell him where it was.
No, DB Cooper never got caught.
No.
No?
He was never he
Then
jumped
that's
off a
on me.
plane.
Then I got
He
that
jumped
mixed
off a
up.
plane and was never seen.
That's
Yeah.
what. Okay, never mind. That's on me.
Were you
then.
thinking?
I got that
were you
mixed up.
thinking of that movie with Seth Green without a paddle?
I don't
Because
think
that
so.
movie has a knockoff DB Cooper.
I don't think so. No, I just had the story mixed up. That's on me.
No, this was
Anyway.
cooler than DB Cooper.
The guy has an hour to just chill in this room before he's executed for some reason. That's never explained either. You'd think that that's like, the time you eat your last meal and all that, but you do that in your cell. But no, he does it in this room while there's a whole bunch of people there, like in the viewing area to watch him just chill there for an hour. The judge, or Supreme Court justice who sentenced him is there because she wants to see it through. It's very emotional for her, this one particular case from 17 years ago. But he calls for Seagal to come hang out with him in this room because Seagal was half past dead and he wanted to know what it was like on the other side. Now, like Aaron said, we cut to the main plot of this movie a third of the way through. A bunch of people on a helicopter break into the prison, cut communications and all that jazz. They break into the prison because they want to find this guy and get him to tell them where he hid the gold. They could have done that at any moment, but they waited until he was locked up in a new maximum security, new Alcatraz to do it because...
Well, when you're procrastinating on a project and then they're just like, oh, he's getting executed. You're like, oh, deadline's here.
Gotta do
Papers
it
due
now.
at midnight. Let's go.
Yeah, so they do that and they kidnap him and they... Oh, what was it? There's a reason for the rest of the movie to happen. Oh, he didn't tell them. He didn't tell them where the gold was, so they decided they were going to hold the Supreme Court justice hostage. Their helicopter that was supposed to take them off the island crashed because of a storm, so then they were like, we need a backup plan, so we'll get a new helicopter from the FBI, and they held the justice ransom. This is getting really long-winded. Bottom line, prison fight.
It's okay.
All the prisoners have to find guns and fight back against the bad guys. And then it's revealed somewhere in there that Seagal isn't just a criminal who boosts cars, because of course he can't be. That would be too low for someone of his character. He's actually an undercover FBI agent, because of course he is.
The whole time.
The whole time he's actually undercover
and again,
FBI.
he has the secret comm link to the FBI to contact them. He
of
does in Under
course.
Siege and onto the ground.
Yeah.
The secret communication device that he somehow has.
That's it. There's a lot of fighting, a lot of bullets missing their targets, as usual. Nobody can freaking shoot, even the people that are supposed to be the experts. Bunch of people die, a bunch of people don't die. There's some back and forth. Finally, we get the final scene where whatever they're supposed to trade the guy that knows where the gold is for the hostage, the Supreme Court justice. Big gunfight, helicopter shooting
I have
stuff.
never seen someone more half-ass a plot description. Whatever, we get to the final scene where the thing
It wasn't like there was a big gunfight in
Excuse
prison.
you.
I don't know. You can go
Half-assed.
watch it if you really want to. I don't care that much. That part wasn't the fun part for me. The fun part was the part that comes directly after
Yes.
that, because they didn't actually give up the Supreme Court justice. They didn't trade her off. They
they did
exchanged
not.
her with, or they switched her with another prisoner, another hostage or something. They actually take her away on the helicopter. So the FBI chases her down on the helicopter, and somehow I don't know when this happened, but somehow the prisoner guy, the guy that was supposed to be executed, has a bomb under his suit jacket. And after they push the Supreme Court justice out of the helicopter, he explodes himself and blows up the helicopter.
Yes,
He,
that is
and then
absolutely the best
He
part of
gives
the movie.
he gives Steven Seagal a little wink and is like, "Oh, don't worry, I'll take these guys out for you." He blows up the helicopter. I have no idea where he got this bomb. I don't think that's it. Please correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think that's ever explained.
Not directly. Like, they hint that it was planned ahead of time by Seagal.
Like, when they're prepping to do the hostage situation, he says, like, and you're cool with your role with this, and the guy says, I've made my peace with my God, and it's just assumed, he's cool being traded. But I guess Seagal's like, oh, hey, it's cool that we put, like, the suicide bomber vest on you, and they're going to take you away in the helicopter, and you're going to explode the helicopter. Of course, we all know how these things go.
Yeah.
And then Seagal jumps out of the helicopter and saves the senator.
Yeah.
Because Seagal not only a helicopter and falls for a very long time.
Yeah,
what could not possibly be a helicopter?
They're above the clouds.
Yeah, that was a little weird.
Helicopter.
I don't really care about the rest of the story. Honestly, that part, my description of it is not going to do it justice. That, like, as it wasn't a good movie, it was so much better than the last movie that I think I was having a better time. But the whole movie really wasn't that interesting. It was just that last part where this old man winks, like, from one helicopter to another helicopter that are easily
I think
30,
he's literally
40.
just winking at the camera. I don't even think he's winking at Seagal. I think he's winking to us.
Yeah, that very well could be, but it's like this old guy winks at the camera and then tears open his shirt to show the baddies that he's wearing a suicide vest and explodes the helicopter as, like, his final act of goodness. And I don't know, that one really... I really had a good time there.
The two things I was just thinking of is that they drop her out of the helicopter and then he explodes the helicopter. So he's like, the way geometry works, the exploding object is right above them as they're falling. So I was kind of wondering, exactly how much they thought this plan through. The other thing I was just thinking of that I was laughing at is just like all I could picture when he did that was that scene from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia when he's just like, I cut the brake lines, wild card! Like, that's all I could picture. And he just like rips open his shirt, wild card, and just blows up.
Pretty much. Yeah, I don't know. I know I sound very unenthusiastic, but it's because it's a long plot, and I don't really care about most of it. I just wanted to get to the end. That's pretty much it.
But the very end.
Oh, go ahead.
The credits.
Oh my god.
Did you watch the credits?
Yes.
Yes.
It's awful.
It's pretty awful.
There, she's pretty.
Go ahead. Let's hear it.
Well, I mean, there's not much to say. Other than, like, it's the only part of the movie where, like, I laughed when I thought I was supposed to.
You have, like, the partner, the presumed girlfriend or wife of one of the not very well fleshed out characters.
Played by Corrupt.
Just one of the prisoners. His partner is played by Monique. And she's, like, visiting him. And she's basically like, you're a deadbeat. You're in prison your whole life. And he's like, no, I'm going to get out. Like, just you wait. They have a little couple riffing between the glass.
Yeah.
What I was going to say, though, is something that I find to be a very funny, I think, indictment of these movies is that this isn't the first time. This is like the 5th, 6th, or 7th time. I'm not sure. It is very easy to describe, like, try to summarize these plots and completely leave out, like, one of the main characters. And you just realize when you're doing... Like, the fact that Ja Rule was in this, and you can just describe the whole movie without him there, and it doesn't affect anything.
No.
But that's not, like, we've gone through these whole movies and been like, oh yeah, and by the way, this person was there. They're, like, the second main character.
He's on the poster.
Okay,
like, there are 3 faces on the poster.
To be fair, his is the biggest. When they put 3 names on there, they put Nas on there, and he dies 10 minutes in.
Well, in Half Past Dead, if you look at the poster, like, Ja Rule's head is the biggest on this poster. Like, it looks like he's the... If you just look at the poster, he is the main character, Seagal is his sidekick, and
Morris Chestnut actually is fully... His whole body's pictured. He takes...
Yeah, and they're, like, fighting Morris Chestnut. That is not at all what happens in this movie. Seagal is very solidly the main character. Ja Rule is there, does nothing to affect the plot. And Morris Chestnut is kind of the villain.
Ja Rule is just his buddy who helps him boost cars. Like, he doesn't realize Seagal's undercover. And then, like, throughout this movie, obviously Seagal is like, oh yeah, by the way, I'm FBI, we're going to help the Supreme Court justice. So then, like, when you can, like, pinpoint the second that we hit the 3rd act, because he's just like, I thought you was real, man. Like, I didn't realize, I'm mad at you. I'm sad. In the next 10 minutes, I'm going to forgive you. But, like, I'm really sad right now. This is, like, kind of the character betrayal and that signals the 3rd act. And then, like, after pretty much nothing happens, he's just like, okay, we cool.
Yeah.
That's it.
He does
And
get him the...
Of course, yeah. At the
he
end,
ends his sentence. Or no, the Supreme Court Justice shortens his sentence.
Well,
yeah.
shortens his sentence to how long does it take you to get out of those prison clothes?
Well, so, like, can we talk about something for a second? Because I love talking about these movies and themes, because they don't have them. They pretend to have
that's
them.
not true. Oftentimes they have two directly competing ones.
Yeah, so at the beginning of this movie, when they introduce... Well, not the beginning of this movie, like 15 minutes in, after a whole bunch of stuff that doesn't matter happens. Because you can literally skip the first 15 minutes of this movie, and it makes zero difference.
Except you do miss Seagal driving, quote unquote. Very clearly it's not Seagal driving, but ostensibly Seagal driving a car and like doing like a turn to like fling Ja Rule out like his side of the car. It's completely ridiculous.
A puppet that looks a little bit like Ja Rule.
Except to be fair, that's probably my second favorite moment of the movie, so maybe you shouldn't skip it.
But okay, so I just want to talk about a few of the threads that this movie not only just like unceremoniously drops, but like is antagonistic against. So one of them is at the beginning when we are introduced to New Alcatraz. There's like this press conference going on outside with like the head director. He's not the warden, because we meet the warden later. Warden El Fuego, as he's credited.
You're right. It's a different guy.
It's just like some guy.
Yeah, it's just a guy. Wait,
I don't remember what he is supposed to be.
No, you're right.
Is he like in charge of the prison system for California or something? I don't know. But there are reporters standing outside like, isn't this like cruel and unusual what happened here at Alcatraz? And then he says, no, this is a bad place for bad people, and if bad things happen here, I don't care. And he's very much like...
Isn't that just
cinema...
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, the language of cinema tells you that this guy is a villain, and we're 15 minutes into this movie, so you think, oh, okay, here's the villain. And it's going to be about prison, and it's going to be about, you know, how the modern American prison industrial complex is bad, and then that is not brought up for the rest of the entire movie. After you get into Alcatraz, like, you're allowed to smoke, you can have video games in your cell.
Okay,
you can paint on the walls. Like, they will give you paint to paint on the walls.
Yeah, it turns out the warden's actually pretty cool.
No, I'm not gonna lie. When I like in that intro scene, I was like, I'd hang out there. You could
this is
like 5 years in there. I'd be fine with that. Alcatraz seems pretty chill.
Everyone there seems really friendly, actually.
That dude's just playing like a golf game on his PS2 with like a CRT. Like, I'm down with that.
Yeah. They say that you have 2 books in your cell. Well, those are the 2 books in your cell when you arrive. There's a library cart that comes around every day, and there's a nice guy who hands you books that he thinks you might like. And then right after
that, the trolley cart comes by where you can get like sweets and snacks and stuff. And...
Yeah. This is not what prison looks like at all.
To be fair, though, you are right to suspect that guy's a bad guy, because I think he is like the lead prosecutor, DA of California or something. So
something
he is
like that.
Yes. Yeah.
It is, but like, it is funny you say that, though, because that, like, I immediately thought when I was watching that part of it, I thought, man, this really is just a commentary on the current U.S. justice system. And
like, what is this episode? What, 14, something like that?
13.
13 movies in.
13.
13 movies in, I learned how to sniff it out. I learned that in a Steven Seagal movie, the first theme that they give you is definitely not going to be the theme of the movie. So I was watching that scene and thought, okay, everything about this movie so far is telling me that the theme of the film is injustice in the American prison system, which means this movie will be about literally anything except injustice in the American prison system. It can't be about that.
Yeah, it's
because that's what the movie is telling me.
It's about how funny it would be if you just gave like an RPG launcher to like some prisoners and just had them save a Supreme Court justice. Like,
there will be a light machine gun in the armory in this prison, and no one will question why.
To be fair, I'm glad 13 movies in you can call this out, that you can tell that this theme's going to run counter to the movie. I think the mistake was trying to find themes in the first place in any of these movies.
Well, it's not like I'm searching for themes. It's just that's how movies work.
One would suspect. What do you think?
Also, okay, why I say you can skip the first 15 minutes is that, so at the beginning, like, Seagal is like an expert carjacker, and you see him doing like some trick driving and stuff. You spend the rest of the entire movie in small rooms on Alcatraz.
with no cars.
No, he's not in a single other car. That doesn't.
There's no car.
Not a one.
It's not that there are like 2 vehicles in the rest of the film, other than the helicopters. Several helicopters explode in this movie, but there are like 3 other ground vehicles, and they're like big diesel trucks owned by the FBI. That's it.
Yeah, he's
nobody
introduced as
drives
like the
them.
best because he always has to be the best of the best there is.
Yeah.
He's the best car thief, but only for the first 15 minutes.
It does not matter. Like, I thought for a second, oh, we might get like a car-centered action movie with Seagal, which they've kind of tried some car scenes with him. It doesn't work in other movies. Like, I'm remembering, the one where he's like an undercover EPA agent, and you can like see the edges of the rear projection screen behind the glass of the car.
Oh, Fire Down Below.
Fire Down Below.
You're right. That is the only one that's really had a true like car
like
chase.
a car chase.
They've been like they've hinted towards something, but
That was the one where he was. Oh, I'm like just now remembering what that actually was. That was the one where he was in a car chase with a semi, right?
Yeah.
And he just like didn't.
It was like a dump truck or something. Yeah.
When he could have just stopped.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's very funny because like just having recently watched John Wick Chapter 4, I'm just thinking of the absolute flex that movie does where they, spoiler alert, he's in a car and they have like both doors of the car removed. Like they specifically engineer a situation where the car loses both of its doors. So it can be like, hey, either Keanu Reeves is doing a lot of this driving or we're doing a very convincing job at making you think Keanu Reeves is doing this driving. This is the exact opposite. The interior shots are as close as physically possible to each character so you can't tell that what's going on. That it's not a car. And all exterior shots, it is pitch black. You cannot see inside that car. The windows are tinted, the lights are down. Like
I was worried he was
drivers.
I was worried he was going to like fog the lens with his breath. Like it was bad.
Honestly. And they just said, we don't want to put any effort into making it look like he's driving. What is the least way we can do that possible? Just have them like each sit in chairs with the camera, like, you know, as tight as possible.
Yeah.
And you, from the outside, you cannot see inside this car at all.
But like these Seagal movies, like half the cast are stunt performers anyway. Like that's already a thing that we've been doing in all these movies, which is fine, whatever. But they're trying to take stunt performers and turn them into actors. Why don't you just do a movie where you hire a bunch of stunt drivers? Seagal does a few scenes like sitting down, which he already wants to do, and that's okay. He beats up 2 guys in person, and then the rest of the movie is just like car chases and stuff. Like you could do that.
That's kind of what I'm hoping. Like late career Seagal is. That's what I'm hoping as we get into the 2000s.
That doesn't even sound that hard.
Did
you already have people working on these who do stunt driving? Like they're already doing that. You just don't use them for that in these.
And you just have him there, so you can throw his name on there.
Yeah.
Did he run in this one?
No. He climbs a rope.
His stunt double runs away from the gas explosion in the first opening scene. And does like an action roll.
Yeah. Okay. That's the closest we get. And again, that's very much like the explosions going off. You're just seeing a silhouette. You're not seeing a person.
No.
Good on them for making it easy on like, you know, subbing out Seagal. Like, don't put any more effort into your work than you have to. But whenever they show him climbing the rope and it is all shot from behind, again, it is very clearly another person, like, held by wires. Like, that part's very funny.
I also want to say this movie, aesthetically, is incredibly early 2000s.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about
very
that for a
solidly early 2000s.
Let's talk about that for a second, because this came out in 2002, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I have that right? This came out in 2002. When did The Matrix come out? That was 99, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah, this is definitely... Oh, yeah, when they all show up, all the bad guys are wearing, like, the leather trench coats, I did think,
like Spirit Halloween Matrix.
They're doing knockoff Matrix.
And they're all doing, like, especially the, what was her... I can't remember your name. 49 or 6 was her code
Played by
name.
Nia Peoples.
Yeah, she's
Which is a great
doing
name.
like slow-mo flips and with the feet, like, straight up in the air, doing cartwheels and stuff, and I just couldn't... The entire movie, I'm thinking, they're really trying 3 years later to do a Matrix.
She does like a Trinity kick. So there's this scene which in a different movie actually could have been cool, where Seagal's running away and he gets into an elevator because he revives a guard who was half past dead. The theme of him going half past dead doesn't come up for the rest of the movie either.
Nope.
Like,
It's just that the guy wants to talk to him because he's seen what death is like. That's all.
well, yeah. So like his he is not injured for the rest of the movie. Like
No.
the movie could have been about that this guy has like a weirdly high pain tolerance and he can like take a beating and dish it out anyway. He doesn't get injured for the entire movie except in the opening sequence.
I think what you want to watch is Crank starring Jason Statham.
Yeah, like, it could have been that, but it's not. But anyway, there's this scene where he's running away from 49er 6, which I don't know why they call each other that.
No, it's good.
And she has, like, a submachine gun, and she sticks it between the doors of the elevator to try and stop the elevator, and she shoots a couple
I don't
rounds
think
in
it was
there.
an elevator. I think it was just, like, these safety, like, lockdown doors were, like, shutting or something. But I know what you're talking about. These doors are closing, and she sticks her gun in there.
And she shoots it a few times. Well, then Steven Seagal dodges the bullets, and then he like spins the gun around where it's pinned between the doors, so it spins around. And he tries to fire it, and so she like ducks down and does basically like a scorpion kick up into the door to kick the barrel of the gun up so she doesn't get shot. And like that could have been a cool moment in any other movie. Difficult to describe. But it was kind of cool.
They really wanted to make it a Matrix movie.
But they didn't do enough of that. Like,
well,
these agents who are doing like all these Matrix moves and stuff, they each do like one or two Matrix moves throughout the movie. And most of the time, they're just running around firing guns randomly.
Yeah, like they're not. It's they do one or two of them like here and there, but they're always up against another person who's not doing the same thing. Aside from that scene that you just talked about, because Seagal kind of. With the kick thing, with flipping the gun upside down. But every other time that I saw it, it was like 49er 6 doing some, Matrix-esque action moves against the prisoners who were like ducking behind a door and like shooting an Uzi wildly back and forth, not aiming.
But
I don't know,
it
just didn't work.
Also, like, it's not just like, so there's like the group of leather-clad Matrix people who come in, but they're not the only ones who do Matrix moves. Like, there's just like the straight-laced FBI agent lady, and she fires akimbo all the time. Oh, yeah. Like, she's just blasting two pistols at the same time.
She and Seagal both do akimbo, and like they cross
there are multiple
them over
scenes.
Each other. And
there are like multiple scenes where Seagal crosses the pistols over each other and tries to fire, and no one hits a thing.
But it's not even just that. It's not just the way they do these like flips and Matrix moves and everything. Like while I was watching, I really truly thought that why am I blanking on it? What was the why can I not remember? Wait, hold on. The one that we watched before Ticker, Exit Wounds. Like when we were watching Exit Wounds, I even commented like how early, like how of this time it is, how very like 2001 it is. I thought that was like the most 2000s it would get. It is like both. It is just in the aesthetics and the editing. Like we've talked about the wardrobe and the action. Like even in the intro sequence when like they're showing the characters and you still have like these text effects on screen. Yeah. Like that are actually like affecting the video. Like
Mission Impossible 2, but not as good.
Yeah. And even the best Mission Impossible, but also like. There's like it keeps doing like almost these like comedically over the top like quick zoom ins when something happens. Like a character will like look towards the camera and it like zooms in. Like
it'll zoom in and do the slow mo thing that we've seen so many times before, where it wasn't shot at a high enough frame rate, so it just gets really jittery.
A lot of choices.
Okay, and so like my favorite moment was when the electric chair was introduced. Because it does... Okay, so cinematically, what it does with cinematography. The electric chair, like, rises out of this hole in the ground as the camera, like, spins around it. Sometimes fast, sometimes slow. It does, like, this speed ramping thing.
Because it's high-tech Neo Alcatraz. It's the most advanced high-tech execution chamber in the world that can do 5
Except
different
this
things.
Electric chair looks like it was made out of plywood and tape. So the camera like spins around it with like this weird speed ramping effect, and I thought this feels like a shot out of an early episode of Mythbusters.
Actually, no, you're like 100% right.
It's a prop that Adam Savage built.
They're testing myth. Can you have 5 different execution techniques in one chamber? back at the lab, and,
like
they
a
show
really
it,
sadistic
coming out,
Mythbusters.
And then of course,
you are
Adam
spot on
Savage
too.
Yeah, Adam Savage is like dressed up as like the prisoner or something, and Jamie's the warden, and Adam's like, okay, so what are we doing? And Jamie's like, we're gonna test your electric chair. Like, he's very clearly not about the joke, not about the costumes. I want to watch this Mythbusters episode now. No, that is a spot on description. Good job, you gold star tonight.
Thank you. But it feels like that shot could have been in like a lost episode from season 1 of the Mythbusters.
Mythbusters did a lot of movie tie-ins. Did they ever do anything related to Seagal movies?
Oh, I hope not.
They probably test. I wouldn't be surprised because they did like action movie specific episodes. I wouldn't be surprised if something they test appears in a Seagal film, but I don't think they specifically say Steven Seagal does this.
Yeah,
like they test. Well, because I know they test like firing guns akimbo, jumping in the air while firing guns akimbo. I know they test.
Oh, there's a lot of that in this one.
Oh yeah,
a lot of people dive through the air and fire 2 pistols and go ah.
Have you ever fired one pistol up in the air whilst going ah? Have you ever fired 2 pistols in the air whilst going ah?
This
man, we could have been watching Hot Fuzz.
Hot Fuzz.
We could have been watching lots of things.
Hey everyone, welcome to Edgar Wright and Edgar Wrong, the Edgar Wright Fancast. Today we're talking about Hot Fuzz. Although we should say that not directly, I'm not going to directly tie this movie to Hot Fuzz, but I think movies like this from the early 2000s, such as Half Past Dead, are indirectly responsible for like Hot Fuzz in a way.
Oh,
just
yeah.
like the way action cinema existed.
Yes.
So Half Past Dead, I think, somewhat contributed towards Hot Fuzz. We have to give it that at least.
A little bit.
Although, obviously, Bad Boys 2 and Point Break are the main references.
Of course, yeah. Yeah, no, this movie. It was just... So, unlike... I had enough to say about Ticker because it was so bad, it was bad in, like, fascinating ways.
That was
not
even
good
like
ways.
That was like a detective case trying to unearth exactly all the things we noticed, how they came to be. This one's just, they gave a guy $25 million. He kind of tried to rip off the style of The Matrix. It didn't make its money back at the box office, and it's the last time we got a theatrical Seagal.
Like this one, Ticker felt bad because it felt like a million things went wrong behind the scenes. Half Past Dead feels bad because it feels like no one cared. No one in this movie
was
cared. Maybe Ja Rule, but like that's...
I came into this with a really positive attitude, and the more we talked about it, the more I think, oh, you know what? This really wasn't that good. It was just because I'm coming off of Ticker, and that was horrible.
Yeah. Right? That's what I'm saying. And this was the biggest disaster that future Fire Festival co-founder Ja Rule would ever be involved in.
Wait, what?
Wait,
are you really? Are you serious?
The company that made Firefest, it was co-founded by Ja Rule and Billy McFarland or whatever his name.
I didn't know he was involved.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. He was a part of like the...
You gotta watch one of the 4 documentaries about this. Hulu has 2 documentaries about Firefest.
Also...
I knew about it. I knew that the... what's his name? The founder?
Billy McFarland?
Yeah, we were just talking about that earlier because he is going to do a second one.
Oh yeah,
I guess.
Which is totally different this time, you guys.
Also, in case you forgot that Ja Rule was involved in Fire Festival, he then later made an NFT auction website, and one of the things he auctioned was a painting that was hanging in like the Fire Fest company office as an NFT. So there you go.
Man,
sure.
What a bummer.
Why not?
Yeah, no, the problem is everyone knew what this movie was going to be while they're making it. No one cared while they're making it. It came out. It's exactly what you'd think.
Who directed this thing?
That's all. That's literally all my notes. Oh, he had a mullet in this one, no ponytail.
Oh, man.
Okay, true. Wait. IMDb trivia. Ha ha ha. Here to save the day. Except... Hold on.
That's it though. That's the end of my notes. You're right. The more we talk about this, the less excited I am. I really think I'm just coming down off a high of not watching Ticker.
So allegedly, Seagal was growing a ponytail for this role, but just as it was reaching peak length, the end was cut off by helicopter rotors in a near-fatal stunt accident.
What?
Seagal liked the result so much, he now only gets his hair cut using a Sikorsky SH-60 Seahawk, So IMDb trivia.
No,
I
what?
started reading this, and then also later on, there's another trivia. Between takes, Steven Seagal and Ja Rule recorded a Van Damme diss track titled Brussels Sprout, in which Seagal raps that, quotes, "Little sprout from Brussels, ain't got no muscle. Lion heart, more like lion fart. Geez, call me the glimmer man. Belgian waffle, just a flash in the pan." But then, hold on. Lower your expectations. Because then it says, unfortunately, the recording was stolen by a CIA Black Ops team before it could be released. So those two pieces of trivia
Hold on.
make me think that the IMDb trivia section is maybe not the trustworthy source that we all are led to believe.
Can anybody just go in there and put whatever the hell they want? Because
There's no citations.
all of that
assumed
sounds
anyone
way
committed this.
too good to be true.
But it's like my emotional journey of like fortunately being at least a somewhat skeptical person. I was reading the trivia and I'm just like, oh, he was growing a ponytail, then got chopped off in his and now he only gets it cut.
Wait a
If
second.
you just
Yeah.
took the lie far enough and didn't take it across the finish line, I would have believed that. I'd be telling people, like, I'd be drunk at parties 5 years from now, like, oh yeah, then it got caught in the rotor, and yeah, he almost died, but he like, the problem is they made it too unbelievable. Again, this, like, I tried to search, I could not find anything about this diss track quoted anywhere else. I think somebody just completely made it up for the IMDb trivia section. I didn't even find people joking about this anywhere else.
Do you think that 5 years from now you're going to be drunk at parties talking about Steven Seagal?
I hope not.
I mean, I
5
don't know
years
about,
from now, I see you being a father. I don't see that happen. I don't see you going to
I
parties
could
talking
still
to
be-
people about Steven Seagal.
well, maybe not that exact scenario, but I am 5 years from now, I probably am going to be talking about, like, Steven Seagal, because that's what you, at some point in your life, you just decide, instead of developing a personality, you just, like, watch movies and then just kind of, like, talk to people, like, half interested in them. And so maybe at, like, you know, we're waiting in line to, like, pick up our kids or whatever at, like, you know, daycare or whatever. I'm like,
Talk
oh,
to
yeah.
the other dads. Hey,
I was like, yeah, you ever
know?
see this Seagal movie? No. You ever see this Seagal movie? No. You ever see this Seagal movie? Yeah? Yeah? What'd you think? Oh, you liked it? Oh.
Oh,
Okay.
I don't think we can be friends.
Yeah, we're not gonna go. Okay, have a good one. Don't hang out with his kid. We're leaving. What's his kid's name? Don't hang out with Johnny. But I don't think there was any other. I do see one piece of trivia that allegedly Seagal traveled everywhere with a Buddhist advisor whose verdict on the state of Seagal's karma that day would be reason enough for him to halt filming for a day.
Oh my god.
That
could
somewhat
be
plausible.
true.
That could be true. They do say that some aerial shots in this film were shot but unused for The Rock. So basically, there was a Michael Bay movie called The Rock. If you haven't seen it, it's basically this movie but better. It also takes place like on Alcatraz. So they had like some shots, but so it's not quite the ticker situation. But they did just like, hey, can we borrow some of that film footage, please? Cool. Okay, thanks. Bye.
You know it's going to be a good movie when it has 14 producers.
Oh, and like 5 of them are Seagal. So this guy just does a lot of direct-to-video stuff. I'm sorry, Don Michael Paul.
Oh, wait a second. Okay, wait a second. I'm gonna have to walk back a little bit about what I said about the cinematography.
Oh no.
Not because I'm wrong, but because I'm absolutely right. But because the cinematographer is Michael Slovis,
Oh.
who
Breaking
was the
Bad.
cinematographer on 48 episodes of Breaking Bad.
Wow.
And 27 episodes of CSI. We have a lot of overlap with CSI as well.
Oh, he also directed the first 2 episodes of the 5th season of Game of Thrones.
Oh, nice.
I
Back
mean,
before
to
it
be
was
fair-
ruined.
Yeah.
Damn, got him. To be fair, though, this was like maybe his like second major. Like this
Oh my
was
gosh.
relatively early in his career.
Except he also was the director of photography for Halloween Town, the Disney Channel original movie.
His best work.
So there's a connection between Halloween Town and Breaking Bad. I'm just saying.
And Half Past Dead.
And Half Past Dead.
But yeah, so this was Seagal's. Is there any other notable people of actor besides John Rule?
The problem is I'm looking through the actors and I'm very sorry if I missed anybody who was in this, but like I can't find anyone who was like super famous or anything like that. Like we have in almost every single previous film. Like there was someone who went and did something at least one thing incredibly. Like the fight choreographer who went on to do The Matrix. Like, we don't have any of that.
To be fair, this episode's version is the cinematographer that would go on to do Breaking Bad and Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
That's because, I mean, this Nia Peoples, she was in Battle of Los Angeles, Blues Brothers 2000. You were, Nia Peoples, you were one of the better parts of this movie that we watched.
Yeah.
But you do not have, like, Michael Caine breakout levels of success, let's be honest.
No.
Any
Oh,
favorite
hey.
quotes? Oh, yeah.
The art director. Okay, good for Andreas Olshausen. I'm sorry. He's from Bremen, Germany. I don't speak German. This was his first credit as art director, was for Half Past Dead. His latest art directing credit is for John Wick Chapter 4.
Oh. Nice.
And then a bunch of German stuff as well. But
wow. Shocking. Oh, actually, wait, 2 random thoughts that I have about the movie.
Yeah.
One, I like that this movie is so committed to the gag of people just, like, going, flinging that, like, if you turn a car super abruptly, like, I don't know, was Ja Rule, was his hand, like, trying to open the door on the handle? Like, the fact that the door opens so he could go flying out the side of the car. And then again, later on, they give a prisoner an RPG, and when he goes to fire it, it, like, flings it backwards. That's not how, like, literally, it shows the smoke coming out the back. It shows the fact that the back of the RPG launcher is, like, specifically open to prevent blowback like that, and they still have him, like, go flying back and crash into a wall. It's just committed to having these dumb gags that absolutely break consistency with how any part of the world works. Also, I like that this movie tries to do an extended Dirty Harry reference for no reason.
Oh. Yeah.
They have, like, they're dangling from chains, like, Seagal and the main villain are, like, holding onto chains fighting each other until they drop to the floor, and then Seagal's holding a gun on him, and the guy's like, your gun's empty, and Seagal's like, is it? Are you sure? Or do I have one bullet? And the guy's like, no, it's empty. And Seagal takes the magazine out, and he's like, okay, nothing in the magazine, you're right, but I bet I have one in the chamber. And the guy's like, no, you don't. And he's like, I do. And the guy's like, then fire. And Seagal fires, and it doesn't fire, and the guy's like, ooh, nice bluff. And he goes, it wasn't a bluff, it was a misfire. And I'm like, what was the point of that?
And there were a few moments like that throughout this movie that I thought they were below that hour and a half threshold. And they just had to push it.
Like, it wasn't a bluff, it was a misfire.
A little bit more in there.
Is that supposed to sound cool? What did you accomplish?
Yeah, that's not even addressed. Like, he doesn't, like, fix the misfire and then shoot or anything.
No. But, like, having a misfire isn't tough or cool. I don't know what he's trying to...
Oh, I found another person in the background who went on to do good things. Ernestine Hipper, also German. They're all German. Kinda got her... She did one movie before this as a set decorator.
Nice.
And she does set decoration, for which she won the Oscar for I don't know exactly what it was, production design or something, but there are photographs of her accepting an Oscar for her work on All Quiet on the Western Front.
Oh, nice.
And for Tar.
Oh, dang. 2 big ones. Same year.
Both in the same year. But she started with, well, she had one TV movie, and then her first, like, theatrical release was Half Past Dead. So good for you, Ernestine.
Good for you. Oh, I do also, I'm just randomly recalling this movie. It's very forgettable. If you ask me tomorrow to detail any part of this movie, I couldn't do it. But before they do the whole hostage exchange and the old guy who hid the gold, when he's, like, leaning to Seagal and he's like, hey, I know this nice place near a lake. You should go there sometime. Let me tell you again where it is, by the lake. Maybe you should go there. They're really laying it on that that's where the gold is. So they do. Seagal takes the government there. They find the gold at the end of the movie, in case that you were just on the edge of your seat wondering where the gold was. Wondering
I forgot about that.
Cooper hid the gold.
And there was literally no reason. There was nothing that connected the two of them together other than Seagal spent some time with him in his hour of chilling out in the execution room
But he can tell he's a good man.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Okay. I'm going to say one thing in this movie's favor.
Okay.
All 3 of Steven Seagal's stunt doubles do get credited in this movie.
Good.
That's actually good to see.
Unlike the previous movies where he definitely had a stunt double, and they were not credited as his stunt double in most of the previous 12 movies. And this movie has 3, and they're credited.
Nice. Do you have any favorite quotes from the movie?
Oh gosh, do I?
It's not really a quote, but it's a sound effect. I like that the guy's sitting in his prison cell playing like a PS2, but it's playing these like Atari 2600 bleeps and bloops that video games haven't sounded like for like more than 2 decades. And then they show him he's playing like a golf game. He like it show him, and like when he's playing the golf game, it's playing I think like at least somewhat correct sound effects, and then it goes back to him, and it's like playing this beep beep beep, like these like sounds that have not existed in a game like for years. So that's not really a quote. If it's going to be an actual quote, I do like the part when Ja Rule is just like, what? But you lied to me, but you passed the lie detector test. And he just goes like, it's nothing. Anyone can do that.
Anyone can do that.
That's probably my favorite Skull quote.
They also don't resolve the whole like thing. You can skip the first 15 minutes of the movie. It comes back because his whole reason for going undercover and like befriending Ja Rule and doing all that stuff is because his boss...
Oh, yeah.
was responsible for his wife's death before the movie takes place.
Yeah, they're like the mob boss that he's working for undercover.
Yeah, so he's like dedicated to taking down this mob boss, and he says to Ja Rule's character, like, this is, that's my whole purpose. You bet I'm dedicated to it. Like, I'm really sorry that I had to betray you, but my like entire purpose is to take this guy down. And he doesn't. Like, the movie ends without that ever happening.
No.
I think they do technically have some throwaway line where it's like, oh yeah, like when he's visiting Ja Rule in prison, he's like, I took him down anyway, your sentence is done. Like, he says to the FBI lady or someone, I think he does. It's like really? I mean, honestly, I could be wrong about that. Don't quote me on that. I for some reason, I feel like in my head, they like say that
I could have missed
take the guy down. But...
I mean, I could have missed a lot. At the end of this movie, like after the credits rolled, did they just say to all the prisoners, "Okay, back in your cells"?
Yeah, I do like that.
Get back in there.
Every prisoner there helps out, and they free Ja Rule, but everyone else
also
is
give up
like,
your guns now.
Yeah, go back to playing your PS2s or whatever. Go back to playing your golf games and doing your painting. Okay, you're still here in Neo Alcatraz. Yeah, we really talk about stretching this out. We really we're kind of meandering here.
Yeah, because, I mean, this wasn't... I've said this before, but this movie wasn't bad in any interesting ways.
No.
No, it was just kind of a bad movie.
Yeah. Although you know how...
kind of just regular old bad movie.
Like, LA Times, New York Times, like, film critics, they always got to have, like, a snarky pun, like, in the byline, like, to let you got to be clever with, like, some kind of pun title. I feel like if I was, like, a reviewer of movies in, like, 2002, for me, it would be something along the lines of, like, half past dead, more like fully past his prime. Boom, got him. Okay, anyway, here's the review, and then I
boom, roasted,
and I get paid by the word.
Yeah, I'm just trying to find like anything interesting about this.
There is nothing interesting about this.
I'm digging. Matt Battaglia. There's a picture of him holding an Emmy. I don't know what he got that for. He's the guy who plays one of the. He gets a name. He played 49er3. No, he doesn't get a name. He's 49er3. He's the one who was always chewing gum. He was in Thor. He's Pete from Thor. Remember Pete from Thor? No.
Fun fact. Also, nobody remembers anything interesting about the first Thor. So that's what these movies have in common.
Yeah, I'm digging here, and there's just nothing interesting about this movie. I'm sorry, people.
All right. Well, we're half past time. So Hans, go ahead, wrap us up.
I don't know. I feel like we have to edit it around to say what you guys just said. So somebody say it in a better inflection to end on.
Say what in a better? Oh, what's our
half past dead? More like half past his prime.
Actually, wait, real quick. What are our Letterboxd star ratings?
Oh, I gave it 1 star.
It's probably 1 star because the last one was half a star. But the more I think about this one, the more I think that I wasn't actually having that good of a time with the movie. It's just because I wasn't watching Ticker. I've said that like 3 times, but I'm confident that that's where I'm at. So it's really definitely 1 star.
I was a little nicer. I think I gave this 1.5.
Really?
If it was like on TV, it's like, oh yeah, Seagal. Like, because the problem is when you describe the premise, it actually kind of sounds interesting. And like, if you were like on TV and it just like came on and you watched it, nothing gained, nothing lost. Like.
Yeah.
Other than like, an hour and a half of your life. Well, with commercials, probably about 2 hours.
The biggest problem here is that I'm so far behind on Letterboxd reviews that at some point, one of my reviews isn't going to match up with the star rating that I said during the podcast.
You got to catch up. Got to do your homework.
I know, honestly. I do.
Thank you for joining us for Half Past Dead, or as I like to say, fully past his prime.
Half past dead, more like fully dead to me.
Half Past Dead, more like half my attention span. More like half past bored. I don't know.
Half past dead, more like half past my bedtime. I was so bored.
Half Past Dead, more like half past gas, because this movie is like a fart that smells bad.
You're getting weak.
Okay, let's hear one from you, Hans. Where's your riff?
Yeah,
Where's
what?
your
So you join in?
Yeah,
huh?
come on, Hans.
I don't have anything.
Give us something.
Give
Say
me
three
your best
words.
shot.
It doesn't just say any 3 words in any order. Say Half Past Dead, more like anything. I don't care. We're not ending the episode till we get your stinger.
I don't think you've given a stinger in all 13 of these episodes.
I'm not good with the quips. You guys are very good with the quips. I
You just
can't
told me I
think
was
on my
getting
feet
weak.
like that. I'm so bad at improv.
Well, you've had like 2 minutes to think about it.
You can't. I don't have 2 minutes to think about it while you're yelling at me about thinking about it. That's not how that works.
Okay, Hans, you're gonna say Half Past Dead, more like half-assed movie. Okay, go ahead, say that. You can have that one.
No, that's not original.
Half Past Dead, more like half-assed movie. As was something Hans told me earlier after he watched it. That was his zinger. Okay, good night.
That means one of us has to die.
Look at you. Good job.